The rules weren't complex. They were designed to keep us safe and to protect the guests. Clear enough that even non-English speakers or folks without papers could follow them. Simple, strict, and drilled into us from day one. Rule 1. Never. Shut the door all the way when cleaning a room. Rule 2. Always park your cleaning cart outside the room, even if it means walking back and forth a few more times. So when I saw Birdie leave her cart near one door and then follow a guest into another, I knew trouble was in the air. She winked at me as she laced her fingers through his and added a little sway to her hips. Not much, but enough to catch attention. Almost boyish, really. I couldn't tell if she was trying to entice him or just taunting me. Maybe her walk said, "Look, old lady, we're not paid enough here, so I'll make my own bonuses." Birdie was barely 20, been with us about a year, slender, pale, pixie-faced, with a body that barely filled her uniform. She had a boyfriend, Ernie, sweet kid, adored her. She also had a weakness for expensive things and champagne dreams, on beer money. Birdie had scraped through high school, ranking second to last. The only student who scored worse than her barely showed up. Birdie did, every day. That somehow made it sadder. In her mind, she had two routes to a better life. A. Winning the lottery. B. Trading sex for tips from hotel guests. The lottery never worked out. She always forgot to buy tickets but still sat glued to the screen when the numbers were announced, disappointed each time. So she leaned harder into option B. Yes, it meant she skipped cleaning a few rooms, but what she lost in labor, she made up for in quick cash. Her math was simple. Her body paid better than her broom. I should have seen this coming. I should have known. But hindsight always has better vision. As I pushed my cart toward the next room, I could hear her laughing faintly down the hall. I shook my head. She thought she was clever. Lucky for me, the guest in my room had been neat as a pin. Bed made. Towels hung, even the soap barely used. He'd clearly just showered, but the place looked untouched. Easiest clean all week. Still, something about the room felt familiar. Maybe the scent, his cologne perhaps, or maybe just a strange gut feeling. I brushed it off, finished wiping the counters, and left. As I stepped back into the hallway, I heard sounds from Birdie's room. Not just any sounds, rhythmic, moans, laughter. Then the tone shifted. The gasps turned into cries. The words that followed stopped me cold. "No, please, don't." I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my master key and stormed in. The scene was sickening. Birdie was trying to push the man off her. Her voice trembled. "I said I don't do that," she whispered. He shoved her hard, fist to face. She crumpled against the wall and slid down sobbing. "Back off," I barked. The man turned, expression unreadable. "She said I could do what I wanted," he muttered, completely detached. He flung a few bills at her like she was garbage, then looked at me. "If I'd seen you." "First," he said with a grin. "This one wouldn't be here now." He stepped toward me slowly. "You've got more experience," he said. "Better curves, you're more my type." I backed into the hall, hoping visibility would keep him in check. "I said no," I snapped, louder this time. He followed anyway, eyes cold. "Part of your job is pleasing guests, right?" I kept retreating. "Not this time," I hissed. His hand curled into a fist. He moved in to strike, and then in a flash someone grabbed him from behind and slammed him down hard. His body hit the ground with a dull thud. "She said no," said the man who'd stopped him. I looked up. Recognition hit me like a punch. My heart seized. "Please, God, don't let him recognize me." Birdie rushed over and pulled me away. "Come on, Blanche," she cried. We fled toward the elevator while the stranger stood guard over the man. Birdie threatened him. "I'll call hotel security," he just laughed. "Then you'll have to explain why you were in my room," he sneered. "I'll be in a better hotel by tonight." "You? You'll be unemployed." He looked at me. "Same goes for your curvy little friend. You tried to play hero, don't be stupid." It was a cold, reptilian laugh, the kind you hear from people who don't see others as human, just tools for their pleasure. I'd seen that look before, and that's the real reason I ended up here. His laughter stopped when our savior hit him again, this time in the ribs. I swear I heard something break. Birdie and I took the elevator down in silence. "What do I tell Ernie?" she sobbed. What do I say about the bruises? What are you planning to tell him? I snapped. About the swelling on your face or the bite marks on your neck? I was furious. She'd almost got herself seriously hurt and nearly dragged me down with her. But then I saw her face, lost, scared. It reminded me of someone else, someone I failed a long time ago. So I did the worst thing I've done in a while. The second. Worst, anyway, I lied. Don't worry, Birdie, I said, steadying my voice. I'll take care of it. How? She sniffled. I love him, Blanche. I didn't mean for this to happen. I know, sweetheart, I said, lying again. My head, I wanted to scream, no one gets hit by accident, you idiot. You made a choice, and it was the wrong one. But I smiled instead. Remember when you slammed your hand in that drawer last year? Couldn't move your fingers for days. She nodded. We'll say something similar happened to your face. Avoid Ernie for a few days until the marks fade. You know he loves you. He'll baby you like last time. She smiled, that stupid, grateful smile. That was the moment I knew I couldn't let this slide. I led her down the hall straight to the service area. My little office. I handed her my phone. Call Ernie, I said. She dialed, then handed me the phone. Ernie deserved better than this. He worked double shifts, studied at night. A good man through and through. I'd helped him with his coursework. Polite, grateful, kind. He didn't deserve what was coming. No more lies. No more saving someone who didn't want to be saved. And just like that, everything I'd buried came rushing back. 8 years ago. Another man, another hotel, another life. It was her turn to ask the question. She glanced at the Mustang and asked, about Dan's obsession. I told her. He didn't have this car when we split, so it felt like he was test driving his new love. She shot back quickly. First off, she said, that car is tiny, obnoxiously loud, and guzzles gas like a jet engine. It's built for exactly two things, showing off to other guys and luring women. But since no one's touched you since he left, it's clearly not about impressing men. Second, he's probably sitting by his window right now, staring at that damn thing like it's a shrine. I remembered what she'd said earlier about Claudine and turned to walk away. Wait, she called out suddenly. Does he really love that car? He loves all Mustangs, I said. Every version, every era, it's his thing. But Doll's Mustang? That thing was a death trap. I was positive it wouldn't pass any legal inspection. No airbags. Brakes that screeched like haunted gates. The rear seat wasn't even bolted down. The seat belts were for show, just wrapped around the seats, making it look like you were strapped in. One headlight functioned. The brake lights, permanently on, even when idle. And the top speed, a staggering 41 mph each. After a minute and a half of wheezing acceleration, above 35, it shook like a soaked dog trying to dry off. We once tried taking it on the highway. The frame groaned in protest like it was about to implode. I half expected Scotty from Star Trek to leap out of the back seat shouting, "She can't take it, Captain. The warp core's gonna blow." Thankfully, Dull's favorite pizza place was just 3 blocks away, and the speed limit was 30. Even so, I kept my eyes locked on the speedometer. Dull loved pushing the limits, just to say she hit 35. We sat down, at the table. The pizza hadn't even arrived yet when she said, "All right, spill, tell me everything, start from the top." She didn't realize she was the story. "How did he screw up?" she asked. "And what would it take for you to take him back?" She added, "Also worth remembering. You clean other people's messes for barely more than minimum wage while the guy you want is out there in a $40,000 car. So maybe start thinking about forgiveness." I nodded. She went on, "And not to be cruel, but you're turning 40 next year. Your biological clock's so loud I can hear it from here." I nodded again. "Can I just tell the story?" I asked. She nodded, smiling this time. "I used to be married," I began. "I worked as a legal secretary at a big firm. When the senior partner retired, his son took over. He was only a few years older than me, which seemed promising. My husband Denton was an engineer at a local factory. Early in his career, he didn't earn much, so we made about the same. I adored him, without hesitation. He made me feel like I was his whole world, and I believed. He felt the same. We had a plan. Work hard for a few years. Wait for his salary to climb, then I'd quit and we'd start our family. The idea was that I'd be home having kids by the time I hit 32. We wanted a house full of children. But my new boss, Mr. Bryant Jr., he wasn't like his father. The senior Bryant was buttoned up, formal. The junior version was loud, charming, magnetic. Wins in court felt like team victories. Drinks followed wins. Then drinks came even without wins, and eventually I drank too much and landed in his bed. Denton worked late shifts. Bryant convinced me Denton would never find out. He told me I needed to let loose now and then. He started giving me cash, bonuses after we slept together. This went on for months until a pregnancy scare. I panicked. I was terrified of losing Denton, but it wasn't a pregnancy, it was a cyst. I needed surgery. Denton stayed by my side through it all. And I felt so small, so ashamed. But somehow he found out. How? I don't even know. But he knew. We fought. He probably just wanted honesty. But I couldn't stop crying. I had to pause here in the story. He left the hospital. I didn't see him again until I got home. I stayed at the hospital longer than necessary, hoping he'd cool off. Bryant gave me advice. He said I needed to be strong. He said Denton loved me, that Denton needed me, that any sign of guilt would push him away. I was a fool. Friends later told me Denton probably just wanted an apology and for me to quit that job. But I let Bryant into my head. I confronted Denton instead. I accused him of cheating at the factory, said I was looking for someone new because he hadn't been there for me. He walked out before I even finished. I yelled that I didn't care whether. He came back, but when the door shut, I collapsed on the living room floor. Couldn't stop sobbing. The next day, I looked awful. Bryant told me to take the day off. I told him I followed his advice, that it didn't work. He told me I was better off divorced anyway. Women like me should be free to flirt. When I said I was going home, he snapped. Told me I'd better be ready to work the next day. My job was now on thin ice. That's when it hit me. I'd been used. I'd been stupid. My co-workers confirmed it. Bryant had a track record with married women. I was just another notch. So I did what women often do, what men despise. I got manipulative. Women think we're subtle. We're just resourceful. I went to my doctor. Complained of pain in the area where I had surgery. They admitted me for tests. I was still covered under Denton's insurance, so I hoped they'd notify him. I just wanted him to come. He wasn't taking my calls. Not at work, not on his cell. But the plan seemed to work. On my first day in the hospital, someone called me, not Denton, but his secretary. She said Denton was on a business trip, but that he'd heard about my admission. He was flying home early and would see me tomorrow. My heart soared. He still cared. He came the next morning, flowers, a big grin. He rushed to my bedside. We both smiled. I smiled because my trap worked. I thought he smiled because he still loved me. He said someone else had come to visit and he'd step out to wash his hands. I didn't even notice he'd grabbed his coat. Then she walked. Cern, a college girl, chewing gum, that smug modern kind of confidence. She looked around, made sure no one else was there, strolled up to my bed, clicked her gum. "You blanched it?" she asked. I nodded. She handed me a thick packet of papers, clicked her gum again. "Get well. You've been served. Have a nice day." I worked in a law firm. I knew exactly what I was holding. Denton beat me at my own game. He'd filed for divorce and played fair. No revenge, no malice. He even proposed a 50-50 property split. Technically, I'd made more than him last year, thanks to Bryant's bonuses. I called Denton's lawyer, begged for options. Counseling, reconciliation, anything. He laughed at me. Said Denton had hired him weeks ago, said Denton just wanted an apology, that I lied, manipulated, and proved I cared more about sex with my boss than my marriage. He told me Denton would be a fool to take me back. Then he hung up. My phone rang again, this time a man crying. I smiled. Thought it was Denton. It wasn't. It was Bryant. Denton hadn't just beaten me. He'd gone nuclear. Bryant got served too. While having breakfast with his wife, she lost it, kicked him out, filed for divorce, banned him from seeing their kids. But Denton wasn't done. He wrote a letter detailing everything. Our affair, the bonuses, the manipulation. He sent it to Bryant's father and every senior partner at the firm. And then the thought. That he might have come back for me made my heart pound and my knees go weak. Strange, isn't it? After everything, Denton still had the power to shake me. Damn him. He always did. As I rounded the corner to my office, I spotted a gaggle of maids loitering outside, giggling like schoolgirls. Fantastic. Just what I needed. Another distraction. Birdie was gone, and now I'd either have to replace her or ask the rest of the crew to pick up her slack. Not that it'd be hard. Birdie hadn't pulled her weight in months. I scattered the staff like pigeons and stepped inside. Something in my brain must have short-circuited, because I didn't even register the smell until a moment later. Sitting in my chair was a woman, someone I hadn't seen in years. A solution to my staffing problem, a warm memory, and a bittersweet. Ache rolled into one large package. Anna Smith. Russian. Long-limbed, wide-eyed, and completely unforgettable. Yes, she was a big girl. Massive, really. But strong. Capable. Tireless. When she left, it took 2 people to match her output. She'd met a guest, Jack Smith, who we all assumed was another sleazy guy, hoping to get into her oversized bra. But against all odds, they fell in love. Year later, they were married, and not long after that, she quit to have a baby. And now, she was back. She cradled her little boy like he was spun from gold. I'll admit, a wild thought crossed my mind, whacking her over the head and stealing. That baby. Maternal madness, clearly. Reality kept me grounded. Too many witnesses, and besides, if I had a child, I'd want it to be mine and Denton's. Also, Anna could crush me with one arm if provoked. She smiled, handed me her baby like I was family. Aunt Blanche, she called me, and just like that my heart melted. I want to come back to work, she said. Perfect timing, I replied. Fired someone this morning. You start tomorrow. That afternoon didn't yield a breakthrough plan, but it did. Remind me why I wanted Denton back in my life. What did you look like before? Dulcie asked as we walked through the hotel. My hair was shorter. I think I look better now, though, fitter, stronger, less food, more stairs. She clapped her hands. Then let's get that old haircut. No, I said firmly. He doesn't need to see the woman I was. I want him to see who I've become, older, wiser, remorseful, someone who understands what she lost. I planned to be brutally honest. I messed everything up, I'd tell him. But I never stopped. Wanting the life we dreamed of with you, Denton. I'd look him in the eye and say, we're not getting any younger. So if we're going to have a baby, we better start practicing. I haven't exactly been with anyone since you. Dulce stared at the floor like she'd seen a ghost. You're right, I muttered. Terrible idea. Maybe I'd sing it instead. That stupid Cher song. If I could turn back time, not what a joke. My thighs were too thick for thongs and stockings anyway. I turned back to Dulce, ready to keep ranting, but she was trembling, her eyes darting. What's wrong with you? That's when she said it. He was behind you the whole time. I turned. Slowly, like my spine had rusted shut. Shoes, legs, torso, face, his face, Denton. The face I'd loved forever, the face I still dreamed of waking up next to. I turned every possible shade of red. My skin burned, my lungs collapsed, my brain shorted out. If life were a cartoon, I'd have shrunk and disappeared into a floorboard crack, but it wasn't. So I did the next best thing. I bolted, left them standing there like statues. I didn't care what they thought. My only goal was to evaporate from the planet. Thank God for small miracles. Nobody caught me. Not Mario. Not Dre. Not even Karma. Back home, I curled up in my sweatshirt with a mug of tea and waited for the breakdown. Why couldn't I let him go? The truth? I'd wrecked everything, all of it. My fault. Bryant had encouraged the drinking, pushed the line until I crossed it. But I was the one who made the decision. I should have stopped it. I should have confessed. But I didn't. Too proud. Too stupid. Denton. He was strong. So strong he just left, burned the bridge, torched the firm, and walked away. The fallout? Devastating. The firm tanked under the weight of scandal. Bryant's reputation crumbled. His marriage ended. His kids. Now call someone else Dad. He works nights at a gas station. His own father hates him, and me? I earned my shame. Sometimes I think Denton should just find someone new, someone who deserves him. At least he never fell for my parents' schemes, never let them push him toward my sister. If that had happened, I don't know what I'd have done, something dark. I drifted off fantasizing about murdering my sister. Sweet dreams. The next morning I was back at work early. No breakdown, no drama, just Anna back in her element like she never left. I stuck to the back staircases, dodging the lobby. The maids told me Denton was in town for a conference, one he usually skipped. But this year, his assistant stayed behind to care for a pregnant wife. So Denton came himself. Fate's cruel little twist. After we slept together, Denton handed me $3 and called a taxi for me. Of course, none of it was real. Denton had been at his conference all night, long after I'd left. So I never saw him. And naturally, he didn't show up for breakfast the next morning. Dolce and I went out for lunch with Anya. We took Anna with us, making sure she didn't have to lift a finger during her lunch break. I still needed to talk to her, so we sat for a few moments while Anna stood in front of us, chatting about her baby. Dolce, clearly nearing her limit with all the baby talk, switched the topic. She asked about the jewelry and if I'd heard anything from Denton. I hadn't, and it had me so much that I exploded. He probably didn't like them, I said, my voice sharp. Or maybe he liked them, but then he realized they were from me and tossed them away. Dolce, looking serious, said, "Blanche, I never told you this, but that day, after your speech." He smiled. It wasn't a mockery, it was a real smile. She paused, offering a look of calm reassurance. "Do you remember what he told Claudine about how he hadn't had, in 8 years? I think he feels for you the way you feel for him. I think it'll be easier than you think. We just need to get you two together. But why hasn't he come after me yet?" I asked, my voice trembling with the weight of my own questions. Dolce gave me a goofy smile and I felt the cracks deepening inside. I started crying. "I ruined everything, Dolce," I whispered, almost losing it. "I ruined everything. My life, my job, my career, my family. They don't even talk to me. My sister looks at me like I'm a stranger. And most of all, I lost Denton. This is what hurts the most. And no matter what you say, I can't let him go. I never will." Anna, standing a little further back, was dramatically waving her arms around, lost in her own world. She probably didn't understand the depths of my pain, but she had to chime in. "What's the matter with you?" I snapped. "What now?" "I think you should get a Q-tip," Anna said, a puzzled look on her face. "Clean your ears so you can hear people when they're talking to you." I was about to say something when I turned around and saw Denton, standing there looking like he'd stepped out of some haunting dream. This time he didn't look like a man who had just woken up, confused or unsure. No, he looked unhappy, very unhappy. "Sorry," he said, his words cold and distant. "I tried to thank you for the stars you left on my bed. I guessed it was you from your speech and all that, but you don't seem like you're in the mood to talk. So, I'll just leave you alone." And with that, he turned and walked away. Anya, who'd been standing there confused, broke the silence. "Who was that?" "Oh my God, Blanche," Dolce said, clearly furious. "You talk too much. Can you just not ruin things for once?" I stood there, feeling the sting of her words. "He liked the stars, Dolce. He understood what we were trying to do, but then I ruined it, didn't I? I ruined everything by speaking out loud every thought in my head." Dolce sighed. "You could have had him back, Blanche, if you'd kept it together. Instead, you let your damn mouth take over again. He would have forgiven you if you hadn't let Bryant fill your head with all those stupid ideas. We didn't have time for a deep dive into what went wrong. We learned from a woman at the reception that today was the last day of the conference, and Denton was leaving early the next morning." Dolce was quiet when she came back to me, her voice softer. "I regret how I acted. I was upset. I wanted things to work for you. That plan with the stars, it was perfect, but you messed it up, and now we have to be ready for the next time." "I'm not ready," I said, the weight of my mistakes pressing down harder than I'd ever felt before. She smiled at me gently. Life's not always fair, Blanche. Sometimes we get things we don't deserve, and other times we're left wanting more than we can reach. But look at me. I married a frog, but he's my frog. He's not perfect, but he loves me. And that, sweetheart, is all that really matters. I looked at her, my heart breaking in ways I never thought it could. But I don't want anyone else. I want Denton. Dolt shook her head, her smile bittersweet. It's not over. We just need to get you two back on track. The next time he's in town, we'll make it happen. But only if you're ready. It's on you, Blanche. I gave her a sad smile, but I knew she was right. It was on me. My world had slipped away, one mistake at a time, and now I had to fight to reclaim it. But was it even worth it? I didn't say anything as I left. I had no more words to say. Later, after everything that happened, I came home, grabbed a cup of tea and realized Doltz had been right. Twice I had been given the chance to fix things with Denton, and twice I ruined it with my own damn words. My mouth had been the end of me. It wasn't just Denton I'd lost, it was everything. 3 days later, when I went to grab something from my purse, I found a card. My hands shook as I dropped the card, watching it flutter to the floor. I scrambled to pick it up, but the feeling in my chest, it was different. A quiet storm of realization. I called my boss, asked for a few more days off, and headed to a house in a quiet neighborhood. Something was pulling me forward, urging me to make one last effort. The phone number on the card, the lingering question in my mind. What had Denton truly wanted? But before I could fully process it, the weight of the past surged up in me. I couldn't risk it. This was my last chance. I walked to the door,